Hello, fellow scholars. My name is Morgan, and I'm in the fourth year of a PhD in theater and performance studies. And like many people in higher education, when I started university, I stopped reading for fun. I felt like I didn't have time for this frivolous fictional content. And reading itself, the actual activity, became more of a chore that I had to do for school. So I didn't want to do it in my free time. Recently, though, I've gotten out of this academia-induced reading slump, and it has impacted my life for the better, so I wanted to let you in on how I did that. Lately, on top of reading, writing, and conducting interviews for my PhD project, I've also been reading about 50 pages of non-academic texts almost every day. For pleasure, I read both fiction and nonfiction, physical books and audiobooks, and I do it because I truly enjoy it, and it helps me relax in an otherwise stressful school program. But this was not always the case for me. Throughout my undergrad and master's, I read almost nothing outside of school texts, and even those I didn't always finish because I just wasn't excited about reading, no matter what the content. I have since shifted my lifestyle to get all of my school readings done and still read for pleasure, and if that sounds appealing to you, then in this video I want to help you do the same. Reading as a hobby has only done wonderful things to my life. And the great thing about it is that after I got over an initial resistance to sitting down with a book, it started becoming relaxing and enjoyable, so the habit was self-perpetuating. Instead of Netflix after a long day, I wanted to pick up my book. Instead of music on my run, I wanted to listen to a good audiobook. Reading so much stopped being hard. So, how did I get there? Firstly, I started a YouTube channel about reading books. Now, I'm not saying you have to do this, but I do recommend making a commitment to reading regularly, and that is what this YouTube channel has done for me. If I want YouTube content, I have to read books. As with anything in life, you're more likely to stick to it if you make a real commitment you can't back away from. Another example of this is to join a book club. Reading books with other people has motivated me to read books I might not have otherwise encountered, and it's helped me connect with people outside of my PhD. Secondly, I started reading first thing in the morning. I find that if I put off reading until after 9 a.m., I start to feel guilty about reading a book for fun instead of for my PhD. But if I start reading at 7 or 8 a.m. alongside my morning coffee, then I don't feel like it's eating into my PhD work time, and it has the bonus effect of starting my day on the right note. Thirdly, I started forcing myself to read for long periods of time. In May, I challenged myself to reading at least 50 pages a day, and that is when I really started feeling the relaxing and rejuvenating effects of reading, when I did it consistently for longer periods of time, as opposed to short bursts every once in a while. It's kind of like meditating for me in that way. It's hard to relax into it and feel its effects if I only try for like 30 seconds. I had to make myself a little uncomfortable with the amount of reading I did before I started to feel the benefits and actually enjoy it. Fourthly, audiobooks. You may be busy with your grad school work, but you've still got to do basic maintenance. I listen to audiobooks when I'm doing dishes, the laundry, and when I am running. Fifth, recognize the connections between the books you're reading for pleasure and your PhD work. Scientists and engineers get creative ideas from fiction that shift their understanding of their work all the time. And if you're in an arts or humanities PhD like I am, then you might actually be able to cite a fictional work in your dissertation as an excellent expression of some concept. Or maybe it'll just give you a philosophical idea you hadn't considered before, and you can work that into the theory you're constructing. Then finally, sixth, at the risk of contradicting myself, my last suggestion for how to read for pleasure during grad school is to read only what you are absolutely drawn to, not what you think will benefit your research. In my experience, I am going to be way more likely to actually do the reading and get pleasure out of it if I pursue books that bring me pure joy, regardless of whether they speak to my research. In other words, choose your guilty pleasure reads. Not guilty because you should be embarrassed by the content, but guilty in that you feel bad for reading this book over your PhD work. It's not a bad thing. It's a really, really good thing. Reading what you want can give you the relaxation and rejuvenation your brain needs to enjoy the reading you have to do for your research. It also might put your brain into a looser, more creative space where research ideas will flow more freely when you sit down to do work. So those are some of the things that worked for me to help get me out of my academia-induced reading slump, and they helped me fall back in love with reading things, fiction and nonfiction, that are not related to my academic research. I think the benefits of reading for fun are too great to pass up, so I hope some of my tips and tricks in this video have given you inspiration to help make reading for enjoyment a bigger part of your academic life. I'll see you in another video.